Good evening and welcome to the September 24th, 2020 meeting of the Yorktown Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Gordon Fine. I'm chair of the board. Joining me tonight on the board is Bob Fahey, John Meistrick, Bill Gregory, our recording secretary, Glenda Daly. Hopefully we may have one more board member joining us later on. First thing I'm going to do is go through the playbook for our Zoom meeting. This meeting is being broadcast live on town cable TV channels. If you would like to join and participate in this Zoom meeting, click the registration link on the town's website calendar page for this meeting. All meeting participants will remain without video and on mute until their item is called in order to simplify the view on the screen. Those joining by computer can use the chat function in Zoom to contact the meeting host, Robin, if needed. If you are a member of the public and would like to speak during the public comment portion of an application, please raise your hand by clicking the raise hand button at the bottom of the participants list or send a chat message to the host. You may request to speak or have the host read your comments or questions. Please do not speak until invited to do so by the chairman or host, and identify yourself by stating your name for the record. If you are joining the Zoom by phone only, all phone calls will remain on mute in order to minimize background noise. Press *9 to raise your hand. The host indicate you would like to speak. If you're invited to speak, please identify yourself by stating your name for the record. If you're watching this meeting on television and would like to comment on an item, you may call into the Zoom meeting using the phone number and meeting information shown in the host box on the screen. In public comments, remember to tell the host you would like to comment. Click the raised hand button on the bottom of the participants list. Send a chat message to the host using the chat button on the bottom of the Zoom window. Or if you're on the phone, press *9. That being said, first thing we're going to do is set up next month's meeting. Next month's meeting will take place on October 15th at 6:30. Once again, I'm presuming on Zoom. If you have to send out mailings, those mailings must be sent out. The mailing date's already started from September 21st through September 30th. If you sent the mailings out before September 21st or send them out after September 30th, we will not be able to open your hearing at the next meeting. Keep in mind, there is no November meeting. Jump from October to December. In order to determine who you have to send your mailings to, you go to town hall, to the tax office, tell them you're sending out a zoning application. You need to know what neighbors you got to send mailings to. In your packet from the building department that you picked up, there'll be a list that you get to fill out, the names and addresses of your neighbors. The tax office will show you who those neighbors are. You fill it out on the form. You can have to bring that form with you. Actually, you have to mail that form in to the legal department when you submit your proof of mailings and proof of the sign affidavit to the legal department prior to the next meeting. To send the mailings, you do not need to send them by certified mail. You only need to send them by regular mail with proof of mailing, which is a form you fill out in the post office. It only costs about $1 per mailing as opposed to about $6 for a certified. So when you submit your mailings to the legal department, you submit the proof of mailing forms from the post office. You submit the list of who you sent it to. You submit a copy of what you sent. You also have to submit a photo of your sign posted on the property, along with your sign affidavit. That all has to be done before the next meeting. We generally do site visits, given the new parameters of life as we know it these days. We're not visiting properties together. The members will go by the properties on their own. We will not be entering your property, however. Moving along, the next thing we do is to approve the minutes of last month's meetings. Everybody received a copy?
Yes.
Comments, questions?
No.
Okay, I move that we approve the minutes of the August 2020, sorry, it's July probably, right?
Yeah.
July.
July.
Move that we approve the July minutes. I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's move on to the new business. Cat at 3528 Gomer Street, application for special use permit for accessory apartment. Anybody on the Zoom on Cat? We will refer that to the building department. We'll handle it administratively and set it down for public hearing on October 15th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fiorito, property at 1625 Central Avenue, application for special use permit for a new accessory apartment. Anybody?
Yes, I'm Steve Gifford, his father-in-law. I'm here representing him.
Okay, we're gonna refer it to the building department for an inspection. We'll do a site visit, but no one's coming into the apartment like we used to do. We'll probably just drive by and check out what the site looks like. So no one has to be there at the
Okay.
time. And we'll set it down for a public hearing on October 15th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Gifford.
Thank you very much.
8, application for the new owner applying for a special use permit for accessory apartment with 906.5 square feet or a maximum of 800 is allowed at 1228 East Main Street. Anybody here on that? They'll refer to the building department. We'll handle that administratively because it says it's new owner, meaning they should already have one in place.
Yeah, but, hey, Gordon,
Yeah,
if they're asked like 906 where 800 is allowed, that would have been a variance, right? Like,
yeah, but it says for new owner, so I'm not sure if it's a new application or they're just renewing what was there already.
I think it might be the house across the street from Lakeland Lumber. I think that house was up for sale. That
yeah,
might be
but
the house.
we don't have to reapprove the variance for the size, right? Like
Correct.
that would have been,
Right.
Correct. But I don't know if it's new or if it's already existing in that sense.
right. So,
But we're not gonna go in anyway, so it doesn't matter. The building department still has to go in. So we'll set that down for the October 15th meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Lilio. Application of special use permit for a new accessory apartment at 1587 Cross Road. Anybody here on that? Okay, we'll refer that to the building department, and we'll also set that down for a drive-by site visit. Public hearing on the 15th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Who's been seconding, by the way? Just your voices.
Bob
Me.
Fahey.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Usual.
I just gotta make sure.
He's my standard.
You all sound alike on Zoom. Green, application. Anybody here in green? Application for existing porch with a new roof or front yard setback of 35.3 feet. Provided a minimum is 40 at 127 California Road.
Kevin Green is on, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. Green, we're gonna refer this to the building department for their inspection. We're gonna set it down for a site visit, just be a drive-by. We're not gonna actually go in.
Sure.
And a public hearing on the 15th. Any questions?
No, sir, I don't. You'll be able to see it right from the street. It's
So
open.
is the roof existing?
No, sir, I have no intention on cutting into the roof line. I have a very high roof line. I'm just gonna build an overhang over my existing front steps.
Okay.
Okay,
Something I've been trying to do for 27 years, and we're finally getting around to it now that the boys are out of the house.
all right. When you submit your application and when you submit the packet to the town, don't forget to include a set of plans.
They're
Um,
in, they're
I
in
did-
there. They're in there already.
Okay. All right, we'll refer it to the building department, set it down for site visit, public hearing on the 15th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I interrupt a second? Going
Yeah.
back on the new business.
I lost you, Bob. What are you saying?
Say again?
I lost your audio. What'd you say?
Should be.
What do you? Go ahead, Bob.
Unmute.
Bobby, audio is off.
How's that now?
Now you're okay.
Okay.
Don't touch your buttons, Bob.
What should I say? Fiorito is a new apartment. Are we doing a site on that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Drive
okay.
by.
And how about on Haight? Even though it's a new owner, we doing a site on that?
If you want, it's just a drive-by anyway.
Okay. All right, good. I'm caught up. Thanks.
Okay, going back to Christensen, 127 California Road. Application allow existing 8x10 shed with a rear setback of 5 feet, a minimum of 10 is required. Anybody here on that?
Sir, you're confusing Kevin Green with another one. I'm 127 California Road, the overhang.
It's Gordon.
There's two.
Basically, it's a typo.
Yeah, it's a typo. Yeah, two
The
applications for the same thing.
Christensen application, the address is 708 Garth Court.
Oh, so Christensen is
tax-
708 Park.
The tax designation is correct.
Yeah, God court.
It's just a typo on
Yeah.
the
Address.
Yeah, Christensen's God court.
Correct.
And Mr. Green doesn't want a shed as well, huh?
No, I guess,
No,
Put the new
I wish
roof
I
right
had
over.
wealth to I'd share.
All right, so Christensen at 708 Garth Court, application allow existing 8x10 shed with a rear setback of 5 feet, minimum of 10 is required. Anybody here on that? Okay, refer to the building department, public hearing on the 15th, and we'll do a site visiting. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Fetzer, property at 133 Dorchester Drive, application for proposed addition with a rear yard setback of 24 feet or minimum of 30 feet is required. Anybody here on Fetzer?
Yes, Vladimir Levin, architect.
Okay, we're gonna set it down for a site visit on the, well, it's gonna be a drive-by, so no one's actually going in. We'll set it down for a public hearing on the 15th, and we'll refer it to the building department. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Columbini. Application to allow a partial reconstruction and addition of a house on an existing non-conforming lot of 87,584.21 square feet, or a minimum of 200,000 square feet is required. The addition will have a side yard setback of 25 feet, a minimum of 30 is required. It's at 1450 Spring Valley Road. Anybody here on that?
Yes, Christina Griffin, the architect.
Okay. We'll refer it to the building department. We'll set it down for public hearing on the 15th, and we'll do a drive-by site visit. Any questions?
So that, would I be doing the presentation at that meeting, the next one?
October meeting, correct.
Okay, all right.
What is the partial reconstruction? What are you rebuilding?
This is a single-family house, and we're renovating and expanding it. But the variance is so that we can build a new car garage attached to the house.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And lastly, on the new business, we have Yorktown Jazz. Anybody here on that? That's 3220, 3216 Crown Pond Road. That's the Lowe's Shopping Center. It's for basically building sign coverage and lettering. We'll set that down. We'll refer to the building department, Abaca Planning Board,
Yes.
and meeting on the 15th. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving along to the adjourned agenda. We have Sarlo, which is an application adjournment is requested by the applicant. The legal department took care of this. They spoke with the applicant, and he's asking for one last adjournment for his attorney to step in. So we'll adjourn that over to our November meeting. I'm sorry, not November, October. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Manning, anyone here on that? Anyone here on the Manning application? Okay, we'll come back to that one. Find the next file. We have Acme Realty. Anyone here on that?
Eric Spitali, Spitali Construction, the tenant for Acme Realty.
Okay, this is an application for a special use permit for an outside storage area with an 8-foot fence around it at 2013 Crown Pond Road. That's the building where Cablevision used to be. Okay, the mailings are complete. You want to state your name for the record again, please, sir?
Eric Spitali,
Okay, and you are what relation to the applicant?
tenant.
You want to run us through your application?
Yeah, applying for there's a yard back there for storage for my fence company, where I store fencing material.
There's already storage back there. Is that the same storage you're talking about?
Yeah, so it was previously zoned for storage with Cablevision. It's my understanding when Cablevision left their lease, it had to be rezoned.
You needed a new permit.
Correct.
Have you made any changes to it?
I put a fence up. There was an existing fence that was there. It was a
Right.
4-foot or 6-foot fence. I put an 8-foot fence up.
We have a memo from the planning board dated July 16th. Board sees the location of this exterior storage yard to be compliant to the town code setback standards and believes no nuisance to the surrounding businesses and property owners will be created. Location does not disrupt current traffic on the subject lot nor to any of the neighboring lots or roadways. The board has no planning objections. Granting of the special use permit. We have a memo from the building department dated July 17th. Property is located in the C3 zone. I inspected this property on July 14th, 2020. The storage yard appears to be in or very close to a wetland. In speaking with planning, I was able to obtain a town board resolution back from 1993 granting a conditional wetland permit to allow temporary parking of cars in this area. I was unable to obtain a site plan, but this appears to be the area. It was effective for a 2-year period, and to be renewed at the end of that period, it was restricted to non-commercial employee vehicles. From what I can gather, in the past, this area is being used by Cablevision for storage, although not legally. I have no objections to granting the special use permit as long as all regulations and permits are followed. Signed by Joe Venatucci. Did attach the resolution from the town board dated January 19th, 1993. How long has that storage yard been used? Do you have any idea?
With me?
In general,
Oh, as far as before I was here.
how long's that been?
I've been here 2 years.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on the application outside of the board members? Any board members have a comment?
So I'm looking through the paperwork here, and what I'm looking at is an application for a zoning variance for an 8-foot high fence. So do we have to consider this a variance or a permit or both?
No, there's no requirement for height in the commercial zone for a fence. So no, the only thing that we're considering right now is special permit for exterior storage. That's it.
There's no limitation on the time period on that, is there?
Generally, no. Not unless you want to impose, obviously.
I don't really want to impose a time limit artificially unless there's a problem crops up. They can always issue a violation and bring it back. Because it's a permit, not a variance.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can probably limit it to materials stored within the enclosure.
The plan that we have is for a different address, the survey, at least the one I have. So this is like 100 by 100. How far off the budding property lines is the fence? How
John,
many?
there's nothing back there, John.
John,
I know there's like what's back there is a cable or something. It abuts the pipeline or something.
it's substantially far away. Yeah. No, this is the commercial property at the corner of 202 and 118.
Yeah, it's all kind of like woods behind it, but if those were properties that would be developed, we would, that's would play into whether this was like a permanent permit or something with a time frame. Like what's back there, I think, is like a pipeline abuts that property.
Actually, it's not a pipeline, but an electrical transmission.
Fiber optic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments? Okay. Well, the fence structure's been there for quite some time. It's in the back of the property, so it's not causing any kind of eyesore to anybody. It is commercial property. So I would move that we grant the application for a special use permit for an outside storage area with an 8-foot fence around it and limit the use of the storage being limited to within the storage area alone, and that the applicant must obtain any required permits that the town requires based on its location. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Is there a time limit on that permit?
no, not
Is
on
it
this.
an annual renewal? How often
No,
is it renewed?
it doesn't get renewed. It's always there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone here on Mazzella? Anyone on the Mazzella application?
I
Yes,
have a
aye.
neighbor that wants to talk. I don't see an applicant.
Yeah, I can't do a neighbors. I can't open until I have the applicant.
Right.
So we'll come back to that one. We don't have much to come back to. We'll move on to Ahmed. Anyone here on that?
Yes.
Okay, let me read this in. This is Ahmed application for a new accessory apartment. The apartment will have a floor area of 1,148 square feet where a maximum of 800 is permitted. And an entrance in the front where only one main entrance is permitted on the front side of the building per section 300-21, 300-38, and 5 of the town code. Was there 2 of these also? Ahmed also has application to construct an addition with a front yard setback of 70.07 feet, where a minimum of 75 feet is required, and a side yard setback of 23.26 feet, minimum of 30 feet is required. This proposed addition will have an accessory apartment with a floor area of 1,148 square feet, where a maximum of 800 square feet is permitted, and an apartment entrance in the front where only one main entrance is permitted on the front side of the building. Okay, want to give us your name for the record, sir?
JB Hernandez, architect for the project, representing ARQ and Mr. Ahmed. I see that Mr. Ahmed is as well on the call. We are proposing this is for an apartment, for an accessory apartment for his parents. We've been in front of the ARB board to show them the architectural components of our project, which they give us a referral letter, and they had no problem with what we were trying to do. They actually liked the project very much. The owner's parents' apartment will be about 1,148 square feet. The reason we have located the apartment in that side is we're trying to maintain the aesthetics of the house, and we are matching both wings, left and right of the house. During COVID-19, Mr. Ahmed has been trying to has his parents, which are sick, there live with him, and he can attest to that issue. And they've been trying to. It's been very crowded in the house to do that, and he needs to have them close to him, but he also they want to have their own privacy. And the variances that we ask do not affect the neighborhood. And we provided pictures of the neighborhood, the architectural, all the components are there. So if you have any questions, I can help you with that.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Hernandez. So the part of the house that's going to be accessory apartment, has that been built yet, or you're still building it? It's partially built and you're adding with the addition?
No, the accessory apartment will be totally in the addition.
So it hasn't even been built yet?
No.
So why does it have to be larger than what the law permits? It hasn't been built yet.
We were trying to, again, this is aesthetics, and that's why we were referring. We went to the architectural review board. Part of it is that we wanted to make sure that the aesthetics of the house, and if we reduce the amount to comply with the zoning, then the amount of the apartment will be much smaller, and aesthetically will not be, the house will be, I don't know if the drawing, or if I can share a screen to show the drawing. That was a big part of what we were trying to do, to maintain.
You got to keep in mind also that I understand Mr. Ahmed's position on this. He wants it for his parents or his in-laws to be living in. But the problem we have is once it's built and his in-laws or parents are not there anymore, we still have the oversized accessory apartment. We can't make you take it down, so to
And it
speak.
becomes
So
two-family.
once we grant the variance, it's there. So we have to consider everything involved. We understand you want to do the right thing by your family, but it doesn't only extend to your family. You sell the house, that goes with it.
If I understand, we will have to come back to the board every 3 years. Is that we need to come back?
3-year permits.
Right, and there is a feasibility of making this part of the house as well. So if we, when we come back, or if somebody else comes back, or I come back representing somebody else, I will say that we can reduce the size of the apartment, and we can make the house part of the house, or reduce the size of the apartment itself.
I'm trying, maybe someone else on the board remembers. I think a long time ago, at least it seems like it was a long time ago, we did something similar for another house where they wanted their family to be living in the accessory apartment. It was also oversized. And I vaguely remember that we had something in there that said that the variance for these, which you can't really limit a variance, but we limited as far as an accessory apartment. That could only be an accessory apartment of that size as long as it was the family living there. Does anybody else recall that?
I don't know that we did that, and it gets hard,
I think it was before you, John.
And definition of family. We've had this issue with the definition of family that it gets complicated, right?
One of the things, Mr. Ahmed, did you want to say something first?
Yeah, I know that Mr. Hernandez explained it to you, and I just wanted to add a little bit to what he was trying to say. My parents don't need an 1,100 square foot apartment to live in, or the only reason why it became this size is just because the way the house. I didn't want to have the house look have it the shape like a wrong and symmetrical shape. The house is where the middle of it, there's on the left where the garage is. And I just want to mimic whatever is on the right. I just want to kind of copy it and put it on the left to make the house look symmetrical. And that's the only reason why the size of the apartment is 1,128 square feet.
Well, in support of what Mr. Ahmed is saying, we have a memo from Abaca dated August 25th. Their memo states Abaca feels that while the proposal is larger than allowable and requires multiple variances, the addition of the accessory apartment is small relative to the scale of the house. The board appreciates that the addition matches the original architecture and fits nicely into the existing neighborhood. The board also notes that while the entrance to the accessory apartment is in the front yard, it is located on the side facade of the proposed addition, closest to the parking, and is not visible from the street. Baca has no objections to the plans as presented.
So someone had mentioned about putting the plan up. I'm looking at it. It's like page 21 of the package that we received. So I don't know if that could be shared, because I think a picture says 1,000 words here on what they're describing.
I think we all have a copy of the plans. I don't know if we can put them up on the screens.
You can share your screen, JB.
Okay, thank you. So I can show you.
How big a lot is this?
The lot size, hold on, it's it meets over 80,000 square feet.
Okay.
This is, I can show you, Nile.
Oh, I see what we're doing.
So you see, this is the existing house, and this is what we're proposing. So this is what, the Architecture Review Board of Abaca felt that we had done well, which it was from the street capture the aesthetics of the building.
So was this referred to Abaca, Gordon, or?
I just read the Abaca memo.
I know, but did the applicant just take it upon themselves?
No,
to go to
we
Abaca?
referred it. Yeah, we referred it the other month to Abaca.
See if I have a.
And did Abaca ask you to change it, or did they say, we agree with it?
No, their memo says that they approve of the plan submitted.
Right.
Yeah, and they felt that. I'm sorry. This is the neighborhood homes. So as you can tell, I mean the houses. This is our house. Will be adding a wing to symmetrical wing. As you can tell, the size and the volume of the home, it won't be out of place with the rest of the neighborhood.
Yeah, they're all fairly large homes.
Yeah.
And what's the budding? Is that like free green space there, or is that the neighbor's property that where those trees are?
This is I don't know if you see my pointer.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is where we adding the addition, and you can see that it's a robust buffer zone between the two properties, and again.
How far into the buffer zone how far into the buffer zone do you go to the left with the proposed addition? Where's your property line?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me show you we do have a survey. So this is the buffer zone, and this is, here's where it shows. I mean, as you see, the dotted line shows the setbacks, and you can see we go into the setback, but it's not at a great extent.
Okay.
Well, the variance application states fairly clearly that it's 23.26 feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's how far it is from the property line.
Yeah. No, I was looking at it from the picture itself. Yeah, it's very easy to read the numbers, but I was trying to gauge it by looking at the actual photograph with the trees. That's all. I understand what you're
He's
saying.
about 6 feet too close to that side.
Okay.
The one thing that I've noticed is that you're going to be the addition, or at least the part that's going to be used for a accessory apartment. And I understand that you want to architecturally mimic what's on the other side of the building. One of the things that does occur to me is the fact that it does fall within the other limit that the zoning ordinance basically indicates, that being that it's less than 33% of the square footage of the entire house.
Yes.
At some point, one of the things that I think when the town was passing this, that they may have not put as much weight on is the fact that some of these houses are larger than the typical. And I think they looked at that in terms of the percentage as well as the actual square footage.
So what you're saying, Bill, is that this is there's another criteria for accessory, less than 33% of the main house, and this is less than 33% of the main.
Correct.
Some questions I had in looking at the plan, one was, is the upper floor, I see it's labeled as unfinished, but how would that be accessed? Is that accessible from the accessory or only accessible from the main living area?
It will be accessible from the main living area and some finished. We did go through the process with the building department, and there were some changes that we needed to make. And it is there will be an access from the main house.
And no access from the accessory. There's no stairs or anything.
That was part of the stipulations that we have with the when we review it with the building department.
And it's going to And it's going to remain a 4-bedroom dwelling?
Yes, that was another issue. So we made some changes to the main house in order to keep the dwelling as a 4-bedroom. Otherwise, we will have to go in front of the health department.
Yeah, well, you're a septic, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So another question I had, maybe this is for the board, but the basement in the apartment is accessible from the apartment. I do see the stairs there. You know, I, for one, would think it is actually square footage in the apartment, even though it's unfinished. I mean, it's space that only is accessible from the apartment. And many accessory apartments are built in basements, right? So
Yeah, but if it's not finished, it's not living space.
Right.
You could have storage space, but if it's not finished, it's not living space.
well, you know, so what's the square footage of an apartment with a storage space? Is it, you know?
But it's the space is unfinished, and what we face is this is kind of, if we were to eliminate that and have that only access from the outside, then the building department would look at that as, you know, the possibility that become a separate, accessory apartment. So that's one of the reasons that they want us to have it unfinished and connected to the main floor.
Is there a hardship in not building that as a basement and more of a slab construction? That way no one's tempted to expand the apartment into the basement?
Choose to have it unfinished? It is already unfinished.
Well, it's unfinished, but how high are the ceilings, right? Like it's not that hard to finish it without anybody realizing it, right?
So you're saying not to have a slab, just to have a
crawl space. You know, why do you need all that basement that's under the accessory when the house already has a huge basement? Like, what's the purpose of building it as a basement as opposed to a crawl space?
I think maybe JB doesn't understand the question. It's just because the slope, it's on a slope. It's not a flat land where we could just put a slab in. The way the ground is sloped downwards, where we're starting by putting a slab, but the areas where we can't put a slab actually goes down. So if JB could, I don't know if he has a plan.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. So the rear elevation requires basically you have a walkout basement there, unfinished, but part of the apartment. That's a bit of a concern, but I understand why you said you had to do it with the topography of the land there.
Yes.
I understand we have a memo from the building department, but I don't have a copy of it. Anybody have it?
I'm sending it to you right now.
Why don't you just read it?
It says this is close to the second part of the application. You don't have that? There should be two. There's two parts of this There's two parts of the application. Okay. It said this is the application to construct an addition with a front yard setback of 70.07, where a minimum of 75 feet is required, and a side yard setback of 23.26 feet, where a minimum of 30 is required. This proposed addition will have an accessory apartment with a floor area of 1148 square feet, where a minimum of 800 square feet is permitted, and an apartment entrance in the front yard where one main entrance is permitted on the front side of a building. Required variance are per 300-21 Appendix A of 300-38 B4 and 5 of the zoning of the town zoning code. This property is located in an R1 80 zone. It said I have inspected the property on September 9th, 2020 and have no objection. The applicant should be advised that a building permit and a CO is required for the addition, and a CO is also required for the accessory apartment.
I actually located it in the file just now.
Okay.
Somebody's playing video games back there. Any other comments on the application? All right, well, we have basically, the building department had no objections and Abaca had no objections based on the design. Anybody on the board have any other concerns?
Is there a way to impose some restriction? If you look at that rear picture, you know, the backyard elevation where there's.
You're going to impose something that's impossible to enforce.
Yeah, because there's a sliding glass door under the deck there and a window and, you know, to unfinished space. And I can't.
Well, John, the law is if he ever goes to finish it, he's supposed to get a permit. If he does it without a permit, it's a violation anyway. So.
I honestly don't have any particular objection to that, quite frankly.
Now, if he ever wants to go and finish it, he needs to get a permit to do it from the town anyway.
The only thing that you may want to consider is, I think, Gordon, you had indicated it earlier in the discussion about, you know, somehow emphasizing that the accessory apartment is being granted a variance for this size under special conditions, and that you know, if the ownership changes or if the circumstances change, then basically it becomes something that we have to take another look at.
Well, what does that mean?
Exactly. I was going to say, how do you word that? You say in the permit. I would say in the permit application, because variances you really can't limit.
Correct.
But in the permit part of the application, you could possibly say that if ownership of the property changes, or if it's a non-family member living in there, then the permit won't be reissued unless it's brought in compliance with the size requirements.
Yeah.
But again, you run into the problem with definition of family.
Yep, exactly so. I understand.
So what would eliminate it from being an accessory apartment? Just basically the fact that it's got a kitchen, or what if that was to be, so if that's removed, then it becomes part of the regular house, right? I mean, right. And basically we're allowing this, or in thinking about it, because of the architectural lines that we're going to keep it compliant on left side and right side of the building, so it blends with the neighborhood and doesn't look like an addition. Essentially, that's what our situation is.
It could become, with the removal of the kitchen, it could become just another part of the house.
Right.
I would be concerned given the status of the laws in these areas about putting any kind of restrictions on it that we really can't restrict.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the 3 years, and we don't have to approve it again, right? So,
I mean, if there's a problem with the use of the apartment, you know, his parents start throwing wild parties that affect the neighborhood. And they don't invite the neighbors. Then you can reissue it on the permit level.
Well, we have no obligation to approve it the next time, 3 years from now, whether, you know, whether a blood relative or anyone else lives there. So I guess that the
you also can't be arbitrary in not approving it either. You got to, once you approve it, you got to have a reason for not approving it again in the future.
Right.
And it's got to be a valid reason.
So can you write it up that it's a hardship approval with something to do with COVID, and you know, should circumstances change?
But that's such an amorphous type of thing to put in there.
Yeah. Can it be restricted solely to the parents' use? That once the parents either they move on or they pass away, that it has to revert back to being the kitchen has to be removed?
Then, but he's
too restrictive.
I think we're going to have to rely on the circumstances 3 years from now.
Yeah, I don't think you want to start playing around with restricting the permitting.
Yeah,
I know.
Because once it's built, it's built. The structure's not changing.
I think you're going to have to rely on that and the fact that, I'm a little bit more comfortable with it for two reasons. One, the back has no problem with it. The building department has no back problem with it. And it does, in fact, meet one of the criteria for size. Not necessarily the 800 square feet, but certainly the 33%.
Does anybody who's either in the audience or on Zoom have any comments on the application? Does the applicant or his representative have any comments?
No.
Does this create any kind of a precedent that going forward this could become a regular thing, or is this we consider it a unique situation?
Everything, Bob. Everything is on a case-by-case basis.
I know we say that, but once something like this happens, they'll start citing it as an example.
Well, but you got to look at the size of the house, the size of the property, what it looks like. If somebody had a house that was on a quarter acre, they can't do what they're doing with this house.
Yeah, and that's why I think that 33% rule comes into play more than the 800.
Right. Okay.
All right. So on the first application, which is number 21 of 20, I would move that we grant the application for a new accessory apartment at 1271 Fair Hills Drive, for a period of 3 years. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And on the second application, I move that we grant the application to construct an addition with a front yard setback of 70.07 feet, or a minimum of 75 feet required, and a side yard setback of 23.26 feet, a minimum of 30 feet is required. The proposed addition will have an accessory apartment with a floor area of 1148 square feet, where a maximum of 800 square feet is permitted, and an apartment entrance in the front where only one main entrance is permitted on the front side of the building. And I would say that the addition must be built in substantial conformity to the plan submitted, and that this variance pertains only to the requested variance and not the remainder of the property line. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
All right, let's go back and see who else might be here. Is anyone here yet on Manning? Robin, anybody on Manning?
I got John Barilli in the meeting. Is he part of that application?
I don't know what application he has.
Hi, can you hear me? This is Keppels.
Which application are you there on?
Keppels, we put a chat thing in that we're here. We're neighbors across the street from Manning's, so we would just.
Yeah, we're checking to see if Manning's here, so I can't open the application if the applicant's not here.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right, so Manning is not here, not present. Present, not opened. Okay, so I move that we adjourn the Manning application over to the.
No, Manning was there.
No one's answering.
No, we did the stuff on Manning.
No, we skipped it.
We skipped it because they weren't here.
No, we did Manning.
Then we skipped it. There was no one here.
Yes, we called it, but no one answered. The porch light was on, but no one was home.
And then you skipped Mazzella.
Right. So
we did. Yeah, we did skip it. So,
right, so Manning, we're adjourning into October. It's not open, so we don't have to do anything with that. So that leaves us with Mazzella. Anybody here on Mazzella?
Robin, it's John Barilli. I'm here on Mazzella.
Are you an applicant or a representative?
With a builder. Well,
okay. So you're representing Mazzella?
Yes.
All right, so this is an application to allow a building with a lot area of 10,000 square feet, for a minimum of 20,000 square feet is required at 2060 Allen Avenue. You want to give us your name for the record, please?
John Barilli and Louis Pani from Panbar Builders.
Okay, you want to run us through your application?
We have a lot on 2060 Allen, 10,000 square feet. We're looking to build a single-family home. 20,000 square feet is needed. We're looking for a variance.
Now, did you submit any plans to the record? Because we don't have any plans in the file.
I submitted everything.
Right, I don't see any plans. Does anybody else have plans? I don't have plans for that application.
I believe the young lady's name was is it Kyra?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent it back. Kira, I'm sorry.
That may have come in with the most recent email from Kyra.
Looking through the files she dropped off here. I don't see.
She did mention that earlier today. There was additional information coming in that she was going to post.
Is this on Green?
No, this is Mazzella.
No, this is Mazzella. I don't have anything.
Nothing in her later email?
No, the only email she sent had to do with the latest application on addition to Green, and I forgot the other one, but it wasn't Mazzella.
Well, Mr. Barilli, do you have plans?
There was something with Mazzella that I got around 4 o'clock. It doesn't.
Engineering memo.
It has the engineering memo on it with a survey.
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff came in afterwards. Yikes. Yes, there is.
There is a proposed site plan with topo, and also a memo from the town engineer.
So I guess what someone might have been looking for is an actual plan of the structure, elevations and so forth. It doesn't seem like we have that. But we do have the footprint. We have the footprint.
See if I can try and find it in my emails and maybe put it up for you.
Gordon, is it in your memo, in your email that she sent?
I'm looking at it, see if I can find it. There's 14 attachments in there.
Yeah, because I can't open the one for Mazzella.
Mazzella is 19 pages, and the last page.
The last 3 pages are the memo. Actually, the last 4: memo from the building department, memo from the town engineer, and also a topographical survey indicating the location of the proposed building. It doesn't have much of anything else on it other than that.
I only have the application. I don't have any other documents.
You must have them because you were on copy of this email.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, but I can only open the first 3 documents.
Yeah, I can't open the email either.
If you look at Mazzella number 20, is the
I'm looking at the whole email, John. I can't open it. I have 14 attachments. They don't open.
Yeah, number 20. I'm not able to open it either.
Can you download it?
I can only open the first 3.
I can probably send it to you.
It's going to take hours. It's probably a very large file.
You could share it, or you could send it to me.
I'll run it up to you from the Jersey Shore.
Perhaps the applicant could put it. Perhaps the applicant has it. Put it up on the screen.
I just got it on my desktop, and I'm trying to figure out how to get it on.
If I can share, if someone wants to let.
Robin, how do I do this?
If John can do it, he can do it.
Yeah,
okay.
So let me. Okay. Is that it?
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
So that's page 19.
No, we got something there. Okay.
So basically, at least you see the footprint of the house on the survey.
All right. So do you have like?
Here's the engineering memo.
All All right, so let me read the engineering memo that we have. Let's see. It's dated on September 24th. Note this project was previously submitted to the engineering department for a permit and it was referred back to the building inspector. Further review and action due to the following issues. The environmental assessment form, question 5, it stated this project is permitted by zoning regulations, but the lot size is insufficient. Single-family home was recently approved on the adjacent lot and included an extensive underground stormwater detention system to prevent runoff from affecting existing homes on the downhill slope. I was going to get to that later. We offer the following technical review comments to the board. Questions 2 and 5 of the EAF should be reviewed to indicate all required project approvals and permits. We note the proposed work will require the following engineering permits: MS4 stormwater management and tree removal. We recommend incorporating the same requirements that were put in place for 2040 Allen Avenue. For example, stormwater detention system in the rear yard that is designed to retain runoff from a 100-year storm event. In the northeast corner of the site, the plans show a lawn inlet underground structure with a discharge pipe into an adjacent private property. This structure and pipe needs to be investigated and removed so there are no adverse effects of the development on adjacent properties. As currently shown, the plans indicate a 4-foot-high retaining wall will be constructed along the north property line. Need to provide more information on the drainage for this wall so we can confirm there will be no adverse effects of the development site on adjacent properties. As currently it shows, the plans indicate the driveway will be 13% slope, which exceeds the maximum allowable slope of 10%. Applicant can contact the office. Any questions? Okay. Any other memos in there that you have?
Other than the, there's a memo.
Building department dated August 18th. That just states what the application is for.
Correct.
And this is, no, it's not it. Sign notifications. It's probably the only memo, probably the only substantive memo we have.
Yeah.
So
the rest
do you
is
have,
the,
you have a set of,
EAF.
do you have a set of plans that show the actual built structure on the property?
I do. It's on my desktop. I don't know how to get it to you.
We can email it to Robin, maybe she can put it up.
You mean your desktop computer?
Yeah.
Maybe you could also be permitted to share like I'm doing.
I'm going to email it to Robin right now.
As was mentioned by the engineering department, we did a very similar application for the property next door.
Yes.
Close to it. And so we had a couple of issues, one of which was the fact that it's a very steep slope property. Your driveway in the front of off of Allen is very steep. And also we had issues regarding the stormwater. So as they stated in the memo, the other applicant had an extensive stormwater treatment and retention plan that they submitted to us for review prior to us granting the application. I don't know if you've prepared anything like that yet.
I've addressed the stormwater stuff. Apparently the lot next door had hit an underground spring, and that's why they had so much water going in. We don't have that. We've already done all the perks and everything that we need for the town engineer. And I've designed a system to catch.
Well, you're gonna have runoff from the slope coming off of Allen, and you're taking a lot of
no, we're not
ground away by putting a building up in the middle of it.
Yeah, no, we've already addressed that. Is what I'm saying with the building, with the engineering department.
Because he's saying he's waiting for a plan.
Who?
The memo.
Oh, maybe back when we originally submitted, but since we've originally submitted, we've done the testing, we did the perks, and we have actually designed a system.
I understand what you're saying, but the engineer hasn't seen it.
Yes, he has. Oh, yeah.
Not according to this, he hasn't.
He wrote this memo today.
What's that?
The memo was written today.
Memo that Gordon read today.
You should have had it 3 weeks ago. Jack sent it to him. Okay, well, we'll find out why that's the case, but that was...
I mean, bullet point number 4 says a single-family home was recently approved on the adjacent lot and included an extensive underground stormwater detention system to prevent runoff from affecting existing homes on the downward slope, or downhill slope. He says above that, we note this project was previously submitted to the engineering department for permit and was referred back to the building inspector for further review and actions due to the following issues. And that was one of the issues.
Well, all right, Bob, just saying, I did the perks on that lot. Month and a half.
I don't discount what you're saying. We're saying the engineer's telling us he doesn't have it.
Okay. Well, his department was out with us doing the perk tests. So,
well, maybe he
not to have it is odd.
Maybe he needs more information, or you need to have a discussion with him.
Yeah, I'll have a discussion with him. Yes, that's fine.
So I'm thinking that we probably not going to go forward with this until we can get this stuff resolved.
Well, this has nothing to do with the variance.
It has everything to do with the variance.
It has everything to do with the variance.
We wouldn't even consider the variance if everything wasn't taken care of.
Okay.
All right, we'll have
That was the basis of the last one we granted in the same neighborhood, was we needed all this taken care of.
Adverse environmental impacts are part of the criteria that we have to use for variance granting.
All right, we'll have to address this with Mr. Quinn tomorrow.
Yes, I suggest what we do, since we don't really have good access to the plans also, is see what you can take care of with Mr. Quinn, whatever other department he refers you to between now and the October 15th meeting. And then hopefully we'll have the plans submitted back to us. So we can see them for next month's meeting. And you can submit all the stormwater plans also, so we can have everything by that date.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? As far as what you're proposing with the stormwater management and all, is it compatible with the system that was put in on the house that was just constructed? Or is there a way of measuring their compatibility? Or does each one operate on their own? I don't know the process. I don't understand necessarily how that works. They operate independently, or do they complement each other?
It's basically designed for the amount of perk and how much water can be actually collected and stored through a storm. So we've done all the calculations and submitted them to Mr. Quinn. So I'm floored that you're telling me now that this was not done since we've did it a month and a half.
Well, you're the one who showed me the memo.
Yeah. John showed you the memo.
I showed that.
That memo came from you. That wasn't from us.
Yeah.
We never got it.
I never saw it until someone just put it up on the screen.
I never got that. We never got that memo.
But like I said, it was dated today.
Yeah.
So obviously he doesn't have the information he's looking for.
We have a habit of not getting things the way we should. And that's one of them.
Who designed the stormwater program? Was it Joe Arena?
No, Jack Carell.
Oh, you okay? All right.
Jack Carell. Yep.
Joe did the one next door.
Did the one next door.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I was just wondering if these systems were compatible.
We came to find out that there was like I said, a spring that was hit. So when they hit the spring, that created a lot of water, which really impacted that particular lot. It doesn't impact. It's not impacting this lot next door. The lot next door is actually lower and doesn't have any springs that we found. So.
Which way does the water flow on the property? Does it flow towards the new house or flow away?
Away from the new house.
Away from the new house.
Yes, the other house is lower than we are.
Okay.
The other lot was lower than our lot. So
before we put this matter over to October, anybody else on Zoom, other than the applicants or the board members, have any comments on the application?
Yes, I have Michael Epting.
Mr. Epting, you want to speak?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me get my video so you can see me and I can see you. Can you see me now?
We got you.
All right. Good evening. I have lived at 2040 Allen Avenue for the last 31 years, and I'd like to comment on this application for an area variance on the lot situated at 2060 Allen Avenue, which is one lot north of my property. In considering the merits of this application, the zoning board will evaluate 5 criteria. I would like to comment on each of those criteria this evening. First, is the variance requested substantial? Since the early 1970s, the Yorktown Code has required a parcel with an area of 20,000 square feet to be a legal buildable lot. This variance to allow a 50% reduction in area for a buildable lot is a very significant reduction. To say that the neighborhood is mostly made up of 10,000 square foot substandard lots misses the point. These houses were built on standard lots at the time of their construction, when 10,000 square foot lots were the town code. In addition, when I and my neighbors purchased our homes, our expectation was that there could only be one lot built on the entire neighboring parcel, which comprised two 10,000 square foot lots, both owned by the same two previous owners. One only has to look 100 feet south of my house to see an example where the house was built on two of the smaller 10,000 square foot lots, which were combined to make a legal buildable lot. Why should we have expected anything different would occur on the other side of our property? So in summary, this variance is very substantial and should be rejected. Second point, will the variance cause an adverse effect on the neighborhood? As you can easily see from Allen Avenue, this lot has a very steep slope throughout its area, ranging from 15 to 25% from the west to the east of the property line. In fact, the slope of the lot is so steep that it requires that the town board evaluate and potentially approve this variance. This lot is even steeper than the neighboring lot where RPG recently completed construction of a house next door. The steep slope and the small area of the lot make it impossible to construct a house on Mazzella's lot without spilling over onto the neighboring properties. How do I know this? You don't have to take my word. All you need to do is look at the property boundary with the neighboring house at 2052 to see that RPG's construction debris has encroached at least 10 feet onto Mazzella's property. This wasn't an accident, but it was a necessity of bringing in so much fill to the lot of 10,000 square feet. RPG contractors found it impossible to work in such a confined area, and they had to spill over onto the neighboring property during the site work and construction. I watched all of this happen over the last year and change. How will the excavator and dump trucks navigate such a small area without having a buffer to allow them to work? And which properties will they spill onto in the course of construction, causing inconvenience and damage to neighboring properties? In addition to the steep slope of the lot, there are overhead utility lines spanning the length of the lot along Allen Avenue. How will thousands of cubic yards of fill be delivered by dump trucks without bringing down these lines? How will a crane maneuver around these lines without contacting them? How will huge trailers containing sections of a modular home, I'm not sure if it's going to be stick-built or modular, but there was a modular next door. How will they navigate these wires to deliver the sections to the site?
How'd they do it next door?
Well, next door, the utility lines crossed the street, and so they didn't have to deal with those lines on the same side because the lines crossed Allen Avenue and were on the opposite side of the road. On this lot, the utility lines are on the same side of as the lot construction site. Finally, where will the contractors park their vehicles and stage their trucks for delivering materials to the site? RPG routinely used the street along Allen Avenue from my property to Mazzella's site to park vehicles and trucks. With such a narrow site to work with, how will they confine their vehicular traffic to the area along Mazzella's property without spilling over to the now new house properties and other properties along Allen? Third point, is the current difficulty self-created? Of course, the current difficulty has been self-created by the current owner, who purchased a lot half the size of a legal building lot. If Allen Mazzella, if it was her intent to have a house built in Yorktown, why would she have purchased only half of a legal lot when both lots were clearly available at the day of purchase? The neighboring lot was sold for exactly the same price, $25,000 on the same day, November 14th, 2017. It should not be up to you, the zoning board, to remedy this dilemma when there was an obvious viable alternative.
Well,
Point four.
that's exactly what our legal definition of the zoning board is to resolve dilemmas like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, point 4. Will the proposed variance change the character of the neighborhood? With a narrow and busy road without sidewalks such as Allen Avenue, any additional house will add to congestion and shortage of parking in the immediate neighborhood. None of the houses on the east side of Allen, including mine, are able to use their garages during winter due to the steep downward sloping driveways and the possibility of being stranded with the car at the bottom of the icy and snow-covered driveway. Even with the possibility of a dusting of snow overnight makes these driveways unusable for at least 4 months a year, myself included. Assuming a minimum of 2 cars per household, at least 2 additional street-level parking spots should be included in the plans for the months when garages are not accessible. And of course, this would also increase the amount of impervious surface, which would only add to the stormwater runoff. With additional residences with the addition of a residence and cars on Allen Avenue, this narrow street will become even more crowded with cars, which could also increase the possibility of an accident between oncoming cars or with a pedestrian. Although there are no sidewalks on the street, we do have numerous school children walking to and from bus stops on the street. We also have numerous pedestrians, cyclists, dog walkers who must be constantly alert for traffic since cars frequently speed up in this area between the traffic calming devices that have been placed all along Allen. And finally, can the owner's plan be achieved in another way? Obviously, the owner of this lot, Alan Mazzella, does not intend to live in Yorktown, is only in this financial arrangement for the money, just as Diane Prove, the owner of the neighboring lot, had no intentions of living in Yorktown either. So both Prove and Mazzella paid $25,000 for each lot in November 2017. Recently, the buyers of the new house of Prove's lot have told me that they are interested in buying Mazzella's vacant and treed lot to expand their yard and provide a larger buffer to the neighboring properties. If the new neighbors and Mazzella could agree on a deal, both parties, the neighborhood, and the town would benefit from having one fewer house built on a very small, substandard, and very steep lot that will be very problematic to develop due to the issues discussed above. This is just one way that Mazzella could realize a significant financial return on her investment without cutting down the old trees on the lot and having it developed. In summary, based on the 5 criteria to be considered and the points that I've discussed this evening, I believe that the case is clear to reject this application for an area variance. And I urge you to strongly consider these points when you consider the kind of neighborhood you would create on Allen Avenue when you make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else with a comment? I see we have one more person who's not part of the application on the screen.
The Keppels were neighbors of the Mannings, I think.
Oh, okay. Anybody else with a comment? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to adjourn this into October so the applicant can supply the information requested by the engineering department, as well as any other information we might need next month, like plans, which we don't have.
I can show you the
Would it
building
also be
plan.
possible to pull up the old file on the previous house? Didn't we address some of the issues that this gentleman had just brought up about?
We addressed all of the issues that he just addressed.
Right. So can we bring that information back into the fore so maybe perhaps it's ready for us for review and comparison?
Well,
that file should be readily accessible, but we should have it for the next meeting.
I'll ask here if she could provide it.
Okay.
We have a site plan. They have a site plan to review.
I believe Robin has a copy of our house plans.
Okay.
Is there a chance I could get a copy of those? Could I have a look at those or get a copy from the building department?
You can check with the building department.
I tried that.
I'd love to have a copy of them too. I haven't seen them yet either.
Okay, who's your contact at building? So
contact here in the legal department.
Here.
We build anyway.
Okay.
We don't build modulas.
Oh, he's still,
Stick-built homes.
stick-built?
All right, so we're going to adjourn this into the October meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Have a good night, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I believe that concludes our agenda. So I move that we adjourn our meeting to October 15th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good evening and happy zoning.